So you're thinking about making a move to Seattle, Bellevue, Everett, kind of the greater Puget Sound area, and you're wondering, what are some of the suburbs that I can live in here? Mill Creek may be your answer. Stay tuned. So when you're looking at relocating, you have to look at your wish list. What are the things that are really most important to you? And when a lot of people that I talk to have a good commute into the city, whether they're going into for a job in Seattle, Bellevue, or Everett, Washington, those are the three main employment hub cities in my neck of the woods. So we got to have good commuter access, and that's become less important over the last couple of years with more people working remotely and that type of thing. So what we've seen is more excitement and enthusiasm for people moving out to the suburbs, and how far out they're willing to move depends in part on how frequently they think they may need to go into the city. Also, things like how much space they want in their yard, how much they can afford to pay, access to other amenities. But the Seattle area is so dense with so much housing and so many people living in a condensed area that we really have fairly high housing density until we get out into the boonies, which we're going to differentiate the boonies as being places where horses can live. Okay, if there are no horses there, it's not the boonies. So let's talk about some of the suburbs. And again, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that's on your wish list? I'm going to be highlighting the area of Mill Creek today, and I think Mill Creek is a really nice combination of wonderful place to live, great access to amenities. You feel like you're kind of in a remote, more woodsy location, but you can get in and get access to everything very easily, and also fantastic schools. So let's dive in and talk about what Mill Creek has to offer. While we're here, remember, we are making new videos every week to highlight different parts of town, what it's like living in Seattle, Bellevue, Everett, the best suburbs, the worst suburbs, things to know before you move here, all sorts of things that someone relocating to this area would be well advised to take a look at. So make sure you subscribe and mash the bell, as they say in the South, mash that bell, sugar, so you can get updates when we publish new videos. This channel is specifically devoted to this type of videos. There are not other formats that you will see here. You can check my other channel for those. So with that being said, thank you for subscribing. If you choose to, I'll remind you again at the end. You can see how you like it. But let's dive in on Mill Creek. So first, what I like to do is have people get oriented to the area. If you do not already live in Seattle, you may never have heard of Mill Creek, and it doesn't have any meaning for you. So looking here at the map, this where it says Seattle, this is downtown Seattle. That's they've got the Space Needle for us. This is where the downtown is, all the skyscrapers and that type of thing. So if you've come to Seattle as a tourist or for business, or you've seen pictures of Seattle, what you're seeing pictures of is right here. Now, all along this, all of these pictures are a little too much. Okay, so the freeway that goes north and south from Canada down through Seattle, and it actually goes down into Oregon and California as well. This is the I-5 freeway. It's our main thoroughfare. Traffic tends to be pretty slow on here for commuters, but that's where you got to go. And so if you're driving into Seattle, you're going to be driving on I-5. I would say Everett is kind of the northernmost point if you want to be driving in about an hour or less. Federal Way is the southernmost point. So you can see, like, kind of from this area up to this area is about an hour into Seattle. Now, if you're going into Bellevue, Bellevue is directly across from Seattle, right where my black arrow mouse is right now. This is Bellevue. Downtown Bellevue has skyscrapers and the whole bit, and it's directly across to the east from Seattle. So we call this area the east side. This is the east side of Lake Washington, which you can see in the middle. And we've got the University of Washington right there, right by this bridge. This is the 520 floating bridge. So these two bridges are the way to get back and forth. Now, if you live in Mill Creek, you're going to be up here where this red dot is on the map, and It's a pretty good, oh, I'm showing you pictures of parks. Okay. So Mill Creek is a pretty good location to access Seattle, and it's an even better location to access Bellevue. And of course, if you need to go up in Everett, you work at Boeing or something like that, it's a fantastic location as well. This is pretty much known as a quiet suburb. It's fairly woodsy, and you can see as you go off into this direction, you're going toward our Cascade Mountains. It starts becoming more forested and more mountainous. Monroe is the boonies because there are horses there. Snohomish is, I would say, a small historic town. It has a lot of antique shops. It's kind of a cool place to visit. I have an actual video of me like going there at Christmas and looking at the shop windows, and they decorate the shop windows and they have little 5Ks. And this is what I would call a bedroom community, but it's been growing quite a bit as more people are leaving the city and going into the suburbs and the boonies. So you're not in the boonies in Mill Creek. Mill Creek is, I would say, more recently developed, probably going to have newer construction homes, not necessarily a lot of building going on right there right now, but the homes that are here are going to be newer than the homes in downtown Seattle for the most part. So now that you know where it is, we'll zoom in a little bit so you can get an idea. This is the size of Mill Creek, and it's across from Linwood, which is another big suburb. Linwood is having the light rail put in, and it's also having Alderwood Mall, which is a big indoor-outdoor shopping center that's gotten a lot of interest from Canadians coming south. Our Northgate Mall in Seattle has just been demolished. So this is kind of the big mall. Linwood has tons of shopping. We've got all the fast food restaurants, all the sit-down restaurants, the shopping mall, just everything is here in Linwood. Mill Creek is more residential. So you'll still have your grocery store, your gas station, your Starbucks, your little strip shopping center. You have some nice parks, but there aren't as many like large stores, destination shopping areas. It's also just north of Bothell. Bothell is right here, and Bothell has been getting a lot of interest and attention lately because they're remodeling the Bothell Landing. So I have a video taking you through a tour of Bothell Landing, new high-rise apartments with lower level retail, kind of an urban feel there, and great school districts in this area. So Bothell has been more expensive and shooting up. Linwood is equally convenient, if not more convenient, but the school districts don't have as good ratings. So Mill Creek is the next freeway stop up the road here, and also very popular. In terms of size, Mill Creek is really only about 5 square miles. There are a couple of zip codes there if you want to look it up. 98012, 98082, and it's home to about 20,000 people. So it's a small, I would call it a suburb. It's more than a housing development. It's kind of a woodsy, park-like area with a lot of nice, newer, larger homes. By newer homes, I'm talking about 30 years old, but they're not 80 years old. So time marches by. I'm 40 plus now, so some things that seem newer are not actually all that new. Just because it was built in my lifetime no longer apparently means that it's really young and fresh. So driving into Seattle, your drive time is going to be about half an hour from Mill Creek to Seattle, similar half an hour to Bellevue, because they really are about equal distance down the highway there. And then up to Everett is only going to be 17 minutes. So that's assuming pretty good traffic, but we've had a lot better traffic recently. And 405, the north-south freeway here that goes from Linwood down the east side of the lake, this is 405. It's a loop.